Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is David Yan. I'm a PMC member of Apache Apex, and I'm an architect at DataTorrent. And today I'm going to talk about DataTorrent Gateway, which is DataTorrent RTS main component that makes Apache Apex operable. It's not working. So, can you hear me? Check one. Oh, okay. So, what is DataTorrent Gateway? What is it? So, basically, it's a web server communicating in JSON via REST API, and we have a very extensive REST API that you can get performance metrics of Apex application instances, operators, and containers, and also you can retrieve container logs. And you can also dynamically change operator properties and change the tag of running Apex application. You can also use the REST API to manage Apex application packages and even launching and killing applications. And you can also use the REST API to query and visualize application data in real time. So this actually serves, I think it serves a very good integration point for Alan's obscurity platform. And also, the REST API powers the DataTorrent RTS web UI. So with that, I want to just show you quickly the DataTorrent UI, just to give you a feel of how the REST API works. So, hello? Okay. So this is the DataTorrent RTS UI, and it's powered by the dtGateway. So all the data that you see from the UI is actually served by dtGateway. So as you can see a list of applications running in the cluster, and you can drill down any application to see what the metrics are, latency, number of tuples processed per second, and so on. And you can even look at the tag of the application. And also, you can also look at the physical, the status of the physical operators and the status of the logical operators. Right. So just to give you just to give you a feel of how the REST API works, let me open up the developer tool. So let me just choose one REST call here. So as you can see, this is the REST call that gives you the list of operators, and this REST call gives you the list of physical operators and the metrics. You can drill down, and you get the latency, the heartbeat, and so on. Any questions so far? By the way, feel free to ask a question, raise your hand, ask questions. So I want the session to be as interactive as possible. So you can also look at the links from in our documentation website, and there's a very extensive REST API spec also in that's hosted on our doc website. So with that, I want to talk about the internal dynamics of dtGateway. So in the green box in the middle is the dtGateway, and the smiley face here is the browser or whatever that is issuing the REST API. And if you guys don't know yet, Apache Apex is actually a platform that's running on a Hadoop yarn. Right? So where the dtGateway is also querying resource manager using the Hadoop Java API. It also queries the node manager using HTTP, just HTTP for the container logs. It also stores information and reads information from to and from HDFS for application package information and running application information. But also, the more interesting thing is it connects to Apex application master we call Strand, and for the application details, the application metrics, like for example, latency, tuples per second, and so on. And each of the Apex worker containers sends heartbeat to the Apex app master with all the container information, the details of the containers. Any questions so far? So as you can see, there's so much you can do with the DataTorrent gateway. You can kill applications, you can launch applications, you can see other people's applications data or metrics. So we need to have a security and access control on the REST API. So dtGateway by default runs under a dedicated Unix user called dtadmin, and it supports front-end authentication. Or for example, username, password, simple authentication, or Kerberos, LDAP, PAM, Active Directory, and generic JAS. It also supports, let's say your Hadoop secure mode is turned on, it also supports backend Kerberos handshakes with Hadoop components like HDFS or Yarn or Node Manager. And when authentication is enabled, dtGateway, because it's running as a dtadmin Unix user, it will impersonate the logged-in user in the front end when launching applications, so that the application is actually running as the logged-in user within the Hadoop cluster. It also has a role-based access control feature, in which users are assigned to roles. And each role has a set of permissions. Like for example, you can launch an application, that's a permission. You can look at other people's application metrics, that's another permission, and so on. For more information, you can actually look at this link. We talk about the dtGateway security in detail. Any questions so far for this slide? So with that, I want to talk about the actual use case of dtGateway that is actually done by a paying customer of DataTorrent. This paying customer is in the technology space. This is basically the DAC. It ingests Kafka messages. It parses the Kafka messages containing app server log information. It filters, it does the parsing filtering and then do aggregation and puts the aggregated values in memory store. And they have their own UI that sends Kafka messages and gets back the result from Kafka. So as you can see, this is an app technology space. All the data is very, very important. It's very important to have the data available in a certain amount of time. So latency is important. Whether the operators are running properly is important. So they actually built a utility, a monitoring utility that queries the dtGateway using REST API and collects all the metrics that they want. And if there's any anomaly, they send an alert to the AWS CloudWatch, which pages the ops guy on duty. So that's how they make use of dtGateway for monitoring. So just some more detail of the metrics that are captured using REST API. Right? So number of planned containers and allocated containers. For example, if planned containers are actually more than allocated containers, that means Yarn is not allocating containers for your application. So there's some problem with resource allocation. Total memory allocated, this is pretty obvious. Latency, both end-to-end latency for the app and at individual operator level. And a number of failed containers, because if the container keeps failing, that indicates a problem. That needs to be taken care of. Of course, application status, right? If the application is not running, if it's killed or failed for some reason, somebody needs to get paged. And also the operator status, the number of operator in the pending deploy state, that actually is related to the first bullet point. If the app operator is in a pending deploy state, it usually means that the Yarn is not allocating the resource for your operator. We also, all this is proprietary because it's actually written by the customer. But we have an open source example. It's a very, very simple example, the Python example that makes use of the REST API of dtGateway. Basically what it does is it takes an application name as an argument and it fires an alert if the application is not running. So with that, here are the resources of Apache Apex, and I can take any questions. No questions?
So is this like
Yes.
is this like a agent server model where agents are sending the information to the server, or is it like the application itself pushing the data to the data DTGateway?
Let me go back to the internal dynamics slide. So dtGateway actually pulls the data from Stram and also from the Yarn resource manager. It doesn't, the Stram does not push the data back to the gateway. So Stram actually has its own REST API. dtGateway issues REST API regularly to Stram and gets back the information that it needs. Yes.
How does the gateway find out where the Apex applications are running in the cluster?
Oh, this is actually from the resource manager. The resource manager gives you the list of applications that are running, list of Apex applications that are running, and that's how you get the list of Apex applications in the first place. From each of the Apex application detail, you can get the information of the Apex Stram. So that's how you issue the REST API call to the Apex Stram. Yes.
What kind of authentication mechanisms do you support for the gateway on the front end?
Well, we support Kerberos through Spinago, and we also support LDAP and Active Directory, Jazz, and also native password, username password.
What kind of containers are you using for the workers?
You mean the Apex worker containers?
Yeah.
That's just Yarn containers. Yeah, because Apex is basically a streaming platform on top of Yarn. So everything that is in both Apex App Master and Apex Worker, they are actually running in Yarn containers. Yes.
Can you only query application metrics?
Can you repeat the question? David, can you
Yeah.
repeat the question?
Can you only query application metrics, or can you get application data through the gateway?
Oh, the question is, can you only query application metrics or can you also query application data through the gateway? So the answer is you can get application data through the gateway. In the application, you can annotate your operator field as automatic, and it will actually be visible in the string. If you annotate your in the Java code, right? If you annotate an operator property with the annotation automatic, it will be automatically visible in the Apex string REST API. So that when it's visible in Apex string REST API, it's visible in the dtGateway. Again, with the role-based access control, you can limit who has access to those metrics. So that is probably important. Yes.
Is there any mechanism to keep around the metrics that are being gathered and use them for to show for the past hour or for older data and see trends about the application execution?
Yes. The question is there a mechanism to keep track of the history of the metrics? So the answer is yes. This is probably kind of outside the scope of this talk, but we actually do offer a solution that actually keeps all the history of the application metrics in Next.js, so that you can consume later, or you can actually use it for monitoring. For example, it could be a good integration point for ops clarity. Okay. Any more questions? Oh, thank you very much.